I want to tell you a little bit more about the portrait of Jesus, because so far I've revealed to you the Father, which I'd like you to know how the Father is, like I said, tender and very paternal, and like Jesus described him. But let me go back again in time to describe to you how Jesus is. As I said, Jesus asks permission from us. And if you do not decide to change your life or for God, and stay and remain in your lethargy, it's like you tie Jesus' hands. You can't say, well, let him do what, he wants. If he wants to change me, he'll change me, but not really sincerely. You're not decided for God. It's like you bind his hands together and he cannot do anything. God the Father asks us to abandon ourselves daily and offer our will every single day. And how do I know this? Because people say, oh, Vassula is lucky, she's receiving messages, I wish I was in her place. Well, if you knew what purifications I went in the beginning, the one I've told you about, but not only that, another one, even worse, the abandonment of God, the desert, I was abandoned alone, the suffering I went through, and many other purifications, and how much the devil persecuted me, cheating me, taking the image of my angel, trying to cheat me, taking the image of my deceased father, pretending he's my father, sent by God to tell his daughter, you're losing your mind. Don't listen to this voice that speaks to you, it's not God. God never spoke before in this manner because he knew I was ignorant. God never speaks. You may imagine that God speaks to you. You're losing your mind. Be careful, my daughter. Supposedly my father. But always Satan will slip and give a little signature of his. So before he finished this, which I started to believe, yes, of course, maybe I am losing my mind. Of course God doesn't speak to me. Did I ever think that God will come to me and speak to me? What for? Who am I supposed to be? How did I ever believe God will speak to me? And I started to be confused. And then I said, what about my angel? People speak to angels. I heard once that people have the presence of angels. And then he insulted my angel. Then I knew. I said, that's the evil one trying to deceive me. Even taking the image of my father and taking the image of my angel sometimes in the beginning to deceive me. So my angels taught me discernment, to discern and to know. So he gave up this little trick, and then he started to burn my fingers, blisters on my fingers so that I'm not able to touch the pencil and write. As soon as it was healed, again he was burning my fingers. All sorts of tricks he tried. And it was not easy. And so after having said yes to God, after the big desert I passed, and I was abandoned, and I realized all these friends I have lose their importance in front of God's presence. God is my joy, and without God, I can just wither away. When I realized that, I called out to Yahweh, and I said, Yahweh, take me, purify me, and use me as you want. And when I said this, all heaven opened instantly then. And the voice of my angel came back to me, and he healed me spiritually from the wounds of the desert. And I had said yes to God. After a week, the Father comes and asks, have you got anything to give me, Vassula? I was thinking, I have to give something to the church, And before I even started to really think, the Father said, whatever you will give me, and it is good, comes from me. And so I said, do you mean to say that I have nothing good of my own to give you? No, nothing. You have nothing good of your own to give me. So I said, I know. I can paint you an icon and offer it to the church. So you see the intimate talk. God the Creator was telling me, you have nothing good. And I was saying, wait a minute, I have something. But it was not done with malice. God was amused. He was discussing with his child. I said, I'll paint you something. And then he said, the gift of art, Vassula, it also comes from me. Gift of art, gift of singing, you know where the girls, singing is a gift from God. So I was rather disappointed and I said, well, I really have nothing then. Yes, little one, your will. My will, I said. But I have offered my will a week ago after that terrible purification with all my heart. I've offered it a week ago only. He said, yes, little one, but I'd like to hear it every single day. So God wants us to abandon ourselves and offer our will every single day. About the Eucharist, I don't know if you know about the Eucharist, the way Jesus taught me, of every day a little bit. Even if it is simple, it was important. The importance of the Eucharist. One day he says, would you like to write, Vassula? And I said, yes. And he asked me, are you hungry? Because I was, and of course he knew it. So I said, in fact, Lord, I am hungry. And then he said very majestically, always be for my bread. And I said, Jesus, I was talking about the other bread. And Jesus said, I know, but what is more important, your bread or my bread? And then I said, both. And then, logic. And then he said, your bread will not last you forever, whereas my bread is forever. One day, suppose he comes to you tonight, Jesus, never know, and asks you this, can you pray to me without ceasing? Because this is what I want. I want you to pray to me without ceasing. Well, when Jesus said this to me, I objected, because I'm honest. I said, I cannot do this, what you're asking me. I said, I cannot do what you're asking me. I have a family, I have to attend my son who has homework, I have this and that. I have certain duties to do at home too. I cannot be praying without ceasing, it's impossible. I won't be sleeping at night, 24 hours. And Jesus, again amused, said, Vassula, you have not understood. To pray without ceasing does not mean that I want you 24 hours a day on your knees. To pray without ceasing is when your heart desires me, your God, all day long. When you long for me, when you thirst for me all day long, your heart speaks, not your lips. This is the prayer without ceasing. To desire God all day long. It means that your thoughts should be always constantly up there, desiring to be in heaven already, if possible. Whereas you know you're on earth, and yet you know you have duties to accomplish here, to fulfill before you go up there. But still your heart longs for the one you love, desires for the one you love, thirsts to be together for the one you love.